Hello. So we're going to read Winnie the Pooh, Chapter 2, and I think we have a better setup here. I don't even know if I need my glasses. I think we're good. So I'm going to read every chapter of Winnie the Pooh in 2 parts so that they'll fit on YouTube. So this is Chapter 2, Part 1. And it is in which Pooh goes visiting and gets into a tight place. There's the picture. Yep. You can both see it. This is a much better setup. All right. So Edward Bear, known to his friends as Winnie the Pooh, or Pooh for short, was walking through the forest one day, humming proudly to himself. He had made up a little hum that very morning as he was doing his stoutness exercises in front of the glass. Tra-la-la, tra-la-la, as he stretched up as high as he could go, and then tra-la-la, tra-la, oh help, la, as he tried to reach his toes. After breakfast, he said it over and over to himself until he had learnt it off by heart, and now he was humming it right through properly. It went like this. Here he is walking along, humming his little hum. There we go, you can see. Yep. Tra-la-la, 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 rum-tum, tiddle-lum-tum, tiddle-iddle, 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 rum-tum, tiddle-lum. Well, he was humming this hum to himself and walking along gaily, wondering what everybody else was doing and what it felt like being somebody else, when suddenly he came to a sandy bank, and in the bank was a large hole. "Aha," said Pooh, rum-tum-tiddle-um-tum. "If I know anything about anything, that hole means rabbit," he said, "and rabbit means company," he said, "and company means food and listening to me humming and such like, rum-tum-tiddle-um." So he bent down, put his head into the hole, and called out, "Is anybody at home?" There was a sudden scuffling noise from inside the hole, and then silence. "What I said was, 'Is anybody at home?'" called out Pooh very loudly. "No," said a voice, and then added, "You needn't shout so loud. I heard you quite well the first time." "Bother," said Pooh. "Isn't there anybody here at all?" "Nobody." Winnie the Pooh took his head out of the hole and thought for a little, and he thought to himself, there must be somebody there because somebody must have said nobody. So he put his head back in the hole and said, "Hello, Rabbit, isn't that you?" Okay, here he is putting his head in the hole. So there's Rabbit and there's Pooh Bear. "Hello, Rabbit, isn't that you?" "No," said Rabbit, in a different sort of voice this time. "But isn't that Rabbit's voice?" "I don't think so," said Rabbit. "It isn't meant to be." "Oh," said Pooh. Took his head out of the hole and had another think, and then he put it back and said, "Well, could you very kindly tell me where Rabbit is?" "He has gone to see his friend Pooh Bear, who is a great friend of his." "But this is me," said Bear, very much surprised. "What sort of me?" "Pooh Bear." "Are you sure?" said Rabbit, still more surprised. Quite sure," said Pooh. "Oh, well then, come in." So there's Pooh coming in. Now just notice how tight a hole it is for him to come in. It's going to come along later in the story. All right. So Pooh pushed and pushed his way through the hole, and at last he got in. "You are quite right," said Rabbit, looking at him all over. "It is you. Good to see you." "Who did you think it was?" "Well, I wasn't sure. You know how it is in the forest. One can't have anybody coming into one's house. One has to be careful. What about a mouthful of something?" Pooh always liked a little something at 11 o'clock in the morning, and he was very glad to see Rabbit getting out the plates and mugs. And when Rabbit said, "Honey or condensed milk with your bread," He was so excited that he said both. And then, so as not to seem greedy, he added, "But don't bother about the bread, please." And for a long time after that, he said nothing, until at last, humming to himself in a rather sticky voice, he got up, shook Rabbit lovingly by the paw, and said that he must be going on. "Must you?" said Rabbit politely. "Well," said Pooh, "I could stay a little longer if you..." And he tried very hard to look in the direction of the larder. "As a matter of fact," said Rabbit, "I was going out myself directly." "Oh, well then, I'll be going on. Goodbye." "Well, goodbye, if you're sure you won't have any more." "Is there any more?" asked Pooh quickly. Rabbit took the cover off the dish and said, "No, there wasn't." "I thought not," said Pooh, nodding to himself. "Well, goodbye. I must be going on." So he started to climb out of the hole. Here's the picture of Pooh climbing out of the hole. I think we've got a problem here. What do you think? There he goes. Rabbit's looking to see if there's anything in there. All right. "Oh, help," said Pooh. "I'd better go back." "Oh, bother," said Pooh. "I shall have to go on." "I can't do either," said Pooh. "Oh, help and bother." Now by this time, Rabbit wanted to go for a walk too, and finding the front door full, he went out by the back door and came around to Pooh and looked at him. "Hello, are you stuck?" he asked. "No," said Pooh carelessly, "just resting and thinking and humming to myself." "Here, give us a paw." All right, there's Rabbit and Pooh. Yep. And Rabbit has gone outside, and there's Pooh stuck. Pooh Bear stretched out a paw, and Rabbit pulled and pulled and pulled. "Ow!" cried Pooh. "You're hurting." "The fact is," said Rabbit, "you're stuck." All right, that's the end of part 1. I will do part 2 next.